this is what I wanted to do forever. And I guess I was about 13 years old, I left home.
I was a young parent, and I knew that I had to sacrifice a lot of my children's early years.
When you're competing at a high level across, you miss a lot of the family time and the dad-daughter time.
What I'm doing is way bigger than me. This is so much more than just about me.
I found music. Music was the savior for me.
I can just, lose myself in lacrosse and just totally forget about everything else.
Never retire.
Never retire?
Never retire.
Okay.
Next question. I'm from the Six Nations of the Grand River, Onondaga, Mohawk, Wolf Clan. My grandfather died when I was 13, but I was always singing. I always liked singing. It made me feel good. And when my grandfather died, this guitar came out of the woodwork. It's my mom's, and she said, "Here you go." And it was like my grandfather saying, "Take this guitar and everything will be fine." I knew at 13 when I picked up the guitar that I was going to have a lifelong obsession with it. As far as a career in music, I really never took it seriously. I mean, even after I won the first JUNO, that was when I started to go, well, maybe we can do something with this. Maybe I can make a living with this. But up to that point, it was mostly just a self-discovery and trying to toil away on a mediocre job. But my mom was a huge supporter, my family, and without my family, I wouldn't have been able to do what I'm doing. Devil Come Down Sunday is just my reaction to surviving a nice Percocet and gin buzz car ride. Devil came down Sunday, offered me a ride. After I got home, I was just glad to be alive, and I went downstairs into my room and just wrote that song. I was like, wow, that could have been bad. Got nowhere to hide. Music has such a wonderful energy to it. Sing it with me. Music is the medicine of my soul. It can really pump up a room. Come on, nice and loud. To have any care and the quality and craftsmanship in anything that anyone's doing, whether you're building cars or making cabinets, or if you're putting good energy into stuff, I mean, that's always going to reciprocate. All you, baby! That's right! Music is the medicine of my soul. Inspiration comes from all forms. Anything that, Creator has done, which is everything in this world, is a source of inspiration. Whether it's, nature, animals, relationships, it's all based in creation. So, I mean, without that, we wouldn't have any inspiration. I've been lost. I was a young parent, and I knew that I had to sacrifice a lot of my children's early years. I mean, you wish that you were there for, you know, birthday parties or, you know, the small things that, you know, add up to big things in child's lives and stuff. But now, you know, as the children are older, they understand, you know, the sacrifices and the struggles that I was dealing with, and they accepted it and forgive me for, you know, having to do what I had to do. The main struggle, I had no idea. With all those things come alcoholism, drug abuse, sexual abuse, all the classic things that, you know, can tear apart communities and families. I played a part where I was a alcoholic street junkie, and I was a heavy drinker when I did that, so it was all just method acting. I was just drunk on set. That movie informed my life, and after that movie I went to rehab, and I straightened right up because that character really informed what I was doing. But I found music. Music was the savior for me. The desire that and passion that I felt for music, it made me just hungry, and music allowed for me to solve the mystery, which is my life, I guess, and it still to this day continues to inform what I do and how I do it. And yeah, I don't think I'd be alive today if it wasn't for music.
Everybody in lacrosse, you know, nobody really lives off the game. It's basically just a hobby that, and if you're lucky enough, you can get paid for it. It takes up a lot of time. You have your 9-to-5 job just like everybody else. Weekends are pretty much dedicated to lacrosse, and that's one thing that you know, family members have to really, you know, be supportive of you. I got a little girl who's 2 years old. I'm chasing her around now, and I absolutely love it. I don't like missing those times at home with my little girl. That's kind of the things that you kind of miss out on, unfortunately, when you're competing at a high level across. You miss a lot of the family time and the, you know, the dad-daughter time that I'm trying to make up for now. It's just the last name, Powless, is pretty recognizable in certain areas, and especially in Ontario. Even certain times when I was in the US, the first thing I get asked when people find out my last name is if I'm related to Ross and Gaylord. I'm more than happy to just, you know, say yeah. I mean, they're well-known lacrosse players throughout North America. I mean, just that name and carrying on that kind of tradition is something that just kind of gives you a good feeling that you're kind of carrying on that type of lineage and the Powless name. Won the Tom Longboat Award for the top Aboriginal athlete in Canada. That was in 2003 when I was playing at Rutgers University in New Jersey. I was a two-time All-American at Rutgers. One of the better awards that I won was at Herkimer College. I was actually an academic All-American. So that's one of the things I'm actually pretty proud of. As far as lacrosse goes, I guess the big award that I like to tell people about is the NLL championship that I won in 2008 with the Buffalo Bandits. When I was a young kid, the first pro game, I didn't even really know there was pro lacrosse, but the first one I ever watched was the 1992 MLL, back then it was called, championship between Buffalo and Philadelphia. I was 12 years old, and it was the first pro game I'd ever watched. And Buffalo won the game in overtime, and the place was just crazy. I mean, it was a sold-out Buffalo auditorium, and I couldn't believe that there was actually, 17,000 people there to watch a lacrosse game, just going nuts. And I kind of told myself that, I wanted to be a Buffalo Bandit, and I wanted to win a pro lacrosse championship. And 20-some years later, it happened. I played for the Buffalo Bandits, and we won the the National Lacrosse League Championship in 2008. So I guess that was probably the most satisfying moment in my lacrosse career. I'm trying to get into the coaching aspect now. I know my career is kind of winding down a little bit. Right now I coach at Hagersville High School, where I went to school. I've actually coached there for the last 7 years, and for the last 4 years we've won the OFSA AAA championships. That's something that I've really taken a liking to, is just helping kids in our community and trying to develop them, I guess, as athletes, and letting them understand that you know, the academic part is a big part of if you want to go anywhere, especially in college as well. I'm just trying to really help our kids in our community that know that they can go somewhere and really see the rest of the world, and lacrosse is just one way that they can do that. My first inspiration for lacrosse, it has to be my father. I mean, he's the one who got me going in the sport, put the stick in my hand when I was a kid, and basically was there from day one, coaching me. And he and my mom used to drive, 7 hours to New Jersey to watch me play on like a Wednesday night. So, you know, they've made their sacrifices, and they definitely did everything they could to help me become the person that I am today. So as far as the inspiration goes, I think you definitely have to say my parents today.
Everything's worth it. The life that I get to live, I mean, the fact that I can call singing and meeting people at meet and greets after shows a job, part of my job, or when I sign autographs, it's like the fact that that's part of my job description is writing autographs. That's crazy. And I finally see the sun peeking out. When I wake up in the morning, first thing I do is pick up my computer, which is at the right side of my bed, and I start by answering all business emails. Then I start answering fan mail on MySpace and Facebook. I update all my apps like Twitter. And from there, it's just straight into my workout for the day, which is always different. I change it up because I get bored. And then after that, I practice music for a few hours. I'll usually work on some songwriting, and then I'll just practice my whole show at least a couple times with my guitar. Full swing, like I'm on stage. I practice because I have to be used to using my lungs and getting that cardio while singing. But if I'm on the road, then usually in the evening I'm getting ready for a show.
Check 1 2, check 1 2. I keep on rolling, keep on going, keep on moving like a...
Last year, I think we had 228 dates. There's a lot of travel time in between, so that kind of gives you an idea. We're pretty much gone all the time. We got home just in time, maybe a week before Christmas, and then we had 2 weeks, or a week home after Christmas, and I had 2 weeks off in January. That's pretty much the extent of my holiday time. This is my home away from home. People always ask me, where do you live? And I say, I live in Nashville, I think. But most of the times, I'm actually in this bus. This is our front lounge. This is where everybody can hang out. We've got a couple TVs and all the essentials. And if you turn around, that's our kitchen. That's as good as it gets. So let's head that way and we'll check out our sleeping area. Oh yeah, this is the bathroom, or I should say washroom, because there's no bathtub. And that's about as glamorous as it gets. So this is the sleeping area. This is my bunk. We're pretty lucky on these new buses. We have little mini TVs, so DVD players, which is very luxurious for us. We're not used to that. And I have my phone so I can call my bus driver, who's also my brother. Most times I'll call him up and say, hey, can you stop somewhere good to eat? And back here, this is my back lounge. Got my dog bowls out and all my slippers and my clothes. And we usually have one bunk. That's what we call a junk bunk. And that's where everybody keeps their essentials, their purses, their, you know, the stuff they just can't live without. So that's as good as it gets on a tour bus. So thanks for checking my bus out. Sometimes it's glamorous, it's come and go. You know, sometimes, you know, we're not getting ready in a fancy hotel room. Sometimes we have to stop and take a truck stop shower. Or sometimes we miss a shower or two because we're on the road and we don't have time to stop. And then other times it is glamorous. Like just this past week, I got to be a part of the Heart Truth fashion show, which is put on by the Heart and Stroke Foundation in the middle of Fashion Week. And you know, I got the full star treatment and got to walk down a real live runway. And if you asked me when I was a little girl if I'd ever be doing something that glamorous, I would have told you no. So I've come a long way from being the tomboy that I used to be. My fans are amazing. They're so supportive, and they bring me gifts and presents. And I always tell them, you don't have to bring me anything. Just you showing up is good enough for me. But sometimes they feel like they want to give back more to me, you know, because they'll tell me about how my music has helped them through something. And I feel lucky that through my music, I feel like I have a really personal relationship with my fans.
Hi, good to see you again.
It's more than just music they can sing along to. It's music that gets them through a tough day, and they let me know when I meet them, and I always appreciate their stories.
So this has been a long journey for me. I was 6 years old. The first time I jumped on stage, it was at a Christmas concert. And for me, it was like, oh, that's what that feels like. And to me, it was the coolest feeling in the world. From then on, I knew this is what I wanted to do forever. And I guess I was about 13 years old. I left home.
A 5-year-old's first taste of what freedom's really like.
I booked it 4.5 hours away from my family, my parents, and tried to learn as much as I could about music.
I took a deep breath and hollered as I headed for the street.
And I realized at a young age that you have to work really hard for something, and you have to give up things sometimes.
Oh, I think I'm ready to do this on my own. It's still a little.
And for me, I do think about people I've lost in my life, but sometimes, well, when I heard the song, it made me think about leaving home so early. And for the first time in my whole journey, I felt maybe just a little regret at leaving too young.
You can let go now, Daddy. You can let go. Oh, I think I'm ready to do this on my own. It still feels a little bit scary, but I want you to know I'll be okay now, Daddy.
Who inspires me? Life inspires me. My faith inspires me, my faith in God, my family, my parents, my fans, the stories that they share with me of their hardships, all the sacrifices, like being away from my family, my friends, my community. Because it gets lonely out on the road, you know, you get to missing, you know, you're missing everything. What I'm doing is way bigger than me. This is so much more than just about me. And this is about passing the torch on, and this is about sharing a dream with so many people who have been dreaming this dream with me, all the fans out there, and I just feel really lucky.
Someone who loves you, yeah. Oh, someone who loves
Thank you. Thank you so very much.
I wouldn't consider myself a smart kid when I was in high school. I was just a kid who just liked playing sports.
I think when I was younger, growing up in middle school, I definitely experienced, you know, just normal things that you deal with growing up in middle school. At that age, sometimes kids can be not as supportive.
Some of the struggles that happened on the Six Nations Reserve when I was young mostly felt a trickle-down effect from residential school.
If I think back about it, I was a 12-year-old girl singing country music, so I mean, I wasn't the coolest kid in class.
When a people gets their culture, language stripped away from them, There's a sense of low self-esteem, low confidence, not really a good sense of, you know, your roots.
You might have a little bit of a fear of going off the reserve or playing or being the only, you know, being the only native kid on another team. So that's something that I guess you kind of hope that kids can try and overcome.
At the same time, I was very fortunate that the ones who were supportive would be like, oh, don't listen to them. It's awesome what you do. And I always reminded myself that there's so much more positive support coming from, you know, all around me, and that's what I paid all my attention to.
If you really want to accomplish something, you're probably going to have to take a few risks. It can be a little bit risky and a little bit scary, but it's something that can be, you know, well worth it.
Inspiration comes from all forms, whether it's, you know, nature, animals, relationships.
As far as the inspiration goes, I think you definitely have to say my parents today.
Who inspires me? Life inspires me.
Ever since the day I started, man, ain't nothing changed. Set my kicks and my Rolodex. What's next? I hope I get a raise on my performance checks. Yo, I do what I do what I gotta do. Get in the studio freestyle, I thought you knew. How else can I get it? Better than forbidden. Better than having all those dreams you keep hitting. Man, I made it where I waited for. Nearly identical. Music from coast to coast. It's so incredible. I raise the stakes with my faith. I go get it. Then change this whole place. Hard work gets the credit. Become